Welcome back. It is the question every political reporter in Washington gets these days. Is President Biden going to run for re-election? Well, his political future remains something of a wild card. Some in his own party are urging him not to run for re-election in 2024. It's a popular answer among swing state Democrats who are in tough races, in fact. But the person with perhaps the greatest influence over whether or not the president's name will appear on the ballot again is his wife, First Lady Dr. Jill Biden. NBC sat down with the First Lady Wednesday to talk about the president's potential re-election and her role in the White House. And joining me now is one of the reporters on that story. It's our White House correspondent, Mike Memoli. The most interesting thing about this story, Mike, is that she chose to go on the record but off camera.
That's right. I mean, this was a conversation that happened with her office over multiple days. Peter Nicholas, one of my colleagues on it, traveled with her because we really wanted to get a sense of what was going on in her mind, right? The president, as you indicated, he's already been asked multiple times by multiple reporters, are you going to run for re-election? And you can every time in his answer hear the lawyers speaking, which is, well, I intend to run, right? They don't want to trip the FEC
You have to be
wires.
careful, right, yeah.
And I will tell you that that same legal memo has gone to the East Wing. She was very careful in her answer as well. But she did say she still thinks he's the best person, most qualified to lead the government. And a senior advisor, more significantly, said the family and Dr. Biden are fully on board with a re-election campaign. How much is Donald Trump's potential presence on the campaign trail in 2024 an influence in this decision? I mean, obviously the president has made clear and his advisors have made clear that's the best argument they have potentially for him to run.
That if Trump's running,
right,
they think that's in some ways.
I'm still the best to beat him. And what was really interesting in our conversations with the First Lady is that this negativity around our politics is still very clearly weighing in on her. And I think that's been feeding some of the perception that she would be the one maybe to pull the plug, right? For the family to go through an even more bitter, divisive campaign. We talked to her about the fact that she's out there. She's been to more red states, for instance, than her husband has. She gets shouted at her, elder abuse, things, you know, she's up firsthand to the vitriol. And she says, we just can't, you know, I can't let it linger. I can't listen to it. And she's committed to try to break through. She's really the bubble piercer in the administration. She is trying to break through. She just did an interview with Newsmax, right? Her office has wanted to do an interview with Fox News. She thinks that we do need to speak to this constituency more than other Democrats do.
Is she prepared for what a House Republican majority might do to target Hunter Biden?
So this is where the interview ended, Chuck. I will let you know in terms of how this happened. I asked her specifically. I said, you know, there's a lot at stake for Democrats politically. Is there a lot at stake for you personally, given what might happen? And she went further even than the question was posed to her. She said that as she put it, everyone and their brother has investigated Hunter. She said he's innocent, which actually is even further than I think her husband has said.
No, he
simply
can't.
saying
He's speaking of being careful when you're the executive branch.
Exactly. The concern about putting a finger on the scale of the Justice Department. So she was speaking clearly as a mother. She actually did say this as well, which is in some ways it's always been harder for her to see the criticism of her children than it is of her husband. And that still holds to this day.
Is there a timeline?
So the usual Biden family tradition is to gather together to have a family meeting.
Don't they always gather together? Aren't they like Modern Family? They're always together?
They're in Delaware a lot, aren't they, Chuck? But what was interesting as we were talking to her and to her staff, this question of, like, when's the family meeting, when are you going to sit down to discuss it, the reaction was really, the decision has been made. There really isn't need for a family meeting.
Fascinating. Mike Memoli, I tell you, I think Jill Biden might be the closest thing we've had of a type of First Lady who's politically more powerful than perceived, kind of like Nancy Reagan, where after the fact now people realize, oh, she was pretty intricate.
Absolutely.
It's very similar in that.
She's got more influence in the West Wing than people realize.
Yes, sir. Mike Memoli. Fascinating reporting.
Thanks for watching our YouTube channel. Follow today's top stories and breaking news by downloading the NBC News app.